Swimming just keeps getting faster and faster, but at what point does it become physically and mathematically impossible to swim any faster? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to break 20 seconds in the 50-meter freestyle. Now, a few years ago, I made a video where I detailed exactly when we're going to see 19 seconds in the 50-meter freestyle on the men's side and 22 seconds on the women's side. Now, since that video, a few different things have changed. First of all, Panzan Lee of China shattered the world record in the 100-meter freestyle, going a 46.4. Sarah Hoistrom, the prior world record holder in the 50-meter freestyle, lowered her own world record, and she's going even faster. Even if your goal is not to break 20 seconds in the 50 freestyle, maybe your goal is to break 30 seconds or a minute in the 100, a lot of the concepts here are going to apply. So try and translate them to your own swimming goal. If you're trying to break 20 seconds in the 50 freestyle, you need to understand the math behind it. You basically have to go faster than 2.5 meters per second, or else it's simply not going to work. Now, if you think you're going to go the same speed the entire 50, you're mistaken. That's not how this works, because you actually have a different speed at each phase of the race. Essentially, you're just slowing down the entire 50. Even the fastest swimmers in the world are decelerating their velocity as they go through the 50-meter distance. And if the pool was any longer than 50 meters, you would keep getting slower and slower and slower. Now, the best swimmers in the world are able to maintain their speed for longer in the race. And that's why swimming with good technique and being very efficient is extremely important, because fundamentally, you're just trying to maintain the speed that you have when you dive into the water. So to visualize this, I actually broke the 50 freestyle into 4 distinct phases, and I visualized it 3 different ways. The first is just simply with numbers. So if you think about the 4 different phases of the 50 freestyle, you have the first 15 meters. That's when you dive in, and we're actually going to break that apart even more. Then you have the second phase, which is 15 meters to 25 meters. Now we're at halfway across the pool in a 50-meter pool. Then you have phase 3, 25 meters to 35 meters, and then the final phase, which is the slowest, is 35 meters to 50 meters. And when you think about the top level swimmers, and I talk to their coaches, they think about breaking apart the race into these 4 parts. You can visualize it another way right here. If this is a 50-meter pool right here, this is the 15-meter mark. This is going to be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and the longest phase is phase 1 and phase 4. But phase 1 is actually the shortest by time, because this is when you're moving the fastest. And you can see on this velocity chart, and we'll break down the numbers in just a little bit, you can see how your speed essentially decelerates the entire 50. You really need to focus on each of these differently. When you're training, you actually have to break it apart like this, and different sets and different skills can actually focus on different areas of the 50. Now, to break this apart further, the first 15 meters actually has 4 parts within it, and all 4 of these can be dissected and can be improved upon. For example, reaction time. Now, this is just pure agility and technique off of the diving block. It's the time from the beep going off to your toes leaving the block. Now, the top athletes in the world are anywhere between 0.6 to 0.7 seconds. So if you're slower than that, this is obviously a room to improve. Now, it's going to be very difficult to go anything better than 0.55 or 0.6, because that means you're anticipating the start, and unless somehow human beings can react like cats out of nowhere, you're not really going to get much faster than that. Now, the next phase is hang time. This is how much acceleration, how much distance you're able to get off of the block from the time your toes leave, from the time you hit the water. And then you have your underwater time. This is the streamline. This is based on how much speed you're able to transfer from the hang time underwater into the dolphin kick and then into the breakout. And for the top swimmers, they are now at 15 meters, and they're into the actual swimming phase, which begins at phase number 2. So this is how you visualize it a few different ways. Now let's look at the numbers. I have Caleb Dressel here on the board, and we're using Caleb Dressel as an example because if you watch my prior video where I broke this down, I actually took some of his best performances, and he's been so consistent at going 21 low, 21-1, 21-1, and multiple years. We can actually break apart his time and his velocity at each phase and come up with his theoretical max if Caleb Dressel were to put together for him the best race possible, and I think he can go a 20.69. Now, the current world record is a 20.91. So I believe if he just put together his perfect swim, combining the best start he's ever had, the best first 15 meters, the best phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, if he put it all together, clean that up, and just was the absolute perfect race, he would be a 20.69. And this isn't really that far-fetched when you consider that he went 17.6 in the 50-yard freestyle when he was still in college. That 17.6 swim, even if you're not familiar with short course yard swimming in a 25-yard pool, easily translates into a 20.9, 20.8 swim. So to think that he could go a 20.6 is very, very reasonable. Now let's take a look at how he actually swum that. So in the first phase, from 0 to 15 meters, going 3.1 meters per second. And that means this first segment took 4.2 3.8 seconds. Now, if you remember, I said this is basically, even though it's 15 meters, it is the fastest time. And you can see here in velocity, this dotted green line is the average of 2.5 meters per second, but the athletes are always gonna be above that pace, that goal time, if they wanna dip under 20. And then by the time you get to 15 meters, basically we're underneath that trying to maintain. Now for Caleb Dressel, he immediately drops from 3.1 meters per second in phase 1 to phase 2, going 2.4 meters per second, which is considerably slower, but it's still really fast, and we're still pretty close to that target pace. By the time we get to 25 to 35 meters, you can see we've already dropped significantly down to 2.2 meters per second, and at the very end, barely hanging on with 2.1 meters per second. Now keep in mind, Caleb Dressel has never gone 20 seconds in the 50 free. He's locked in at a 21 flat. Now I do think he has the potential to go that, but his times are even slower than this in terms of he's not even moving this fast. I basically rounded up to get him to that 20.69, and that is his theoretical max. Now if we're trying to go under 20 seconds, we have to dissect this and go even faster at every single phase. So if you notice what I did here, and I have this as a question mark because you guys let me know in the comments who you think is going to make this happen, but we're going to have to go from 3.1 meters per second to 3.2 meters per second on the start, meaning yes, we have to have an even better start than Caleb Dressel currently has if we want to make this happen. Then in phase 2, we're now at 2.5 meters per second. Then in phase 3, moving just up a little bit from 2.2 to 2.25 meters per second. And here's the key thing. At the very end of the race, you've got to hang on. You cannot drop down to 2.1 meters per second. It is not going to be fast enough. You got to maintain 2.2 meters per second. That'll chop off 0.2 just on that last 15 meters. And that is how you're going to get that 19.95. Now I know the question you're asking yourself, well, how do you drop time? I mean, Caleb Dressel is already the fastest sprinter in the world, right? He has the world record in the short course meter 50, the short course yard 50. He's one of the top performers ever in the long course 50. He's won the gold medal back in Tokyo. He's up there. So how do we get faster at everything? Here's how. Specialization. If you think about it, Caleb Dressel and other top swimmers were performing by training for multiple different events. Caleb Dressel specifically, the 100 freestyle, the 100 butterfly, multiple swims, multiple races. It's not going to work. We're gonna need to see specialization. We see this in track and field. The guys and girls who compete in the 100 meters, yes, they compete in the 200, but they always have dominance in one. And we don't see someone compete in the 100 who maybe competes in the 200 and vice versa. In swimming, we're already seeing this. Just at the Paris Olympics, we didn't see a single person make the final in the men's 50 free as the men's 100 freestyle. We saw Sarah Hoistrom win both the 50 freestyle and the 100 freestyle in Paris, and that is why she is the greatest sprinter of all time. It is extremely difficult to be good at both of those events because they are two different events. I mean, look at how much we broke apart a 50 freestyle, a race that we're trying to get under 20 seconds. The only way you're really going to maximize human potential is by specializing on each of these different phases, doing different drills both in the water and out of the water to swim fast and reach peak performance. Specifically, something like breath work is so important in the 50 freestyle because none of these guys or girls are taking a breath in less than 20 seconds. And if you want to do this, you need to train your lungs both in the water and out of the water. And one tool you can do that with is AeroFit, the official breathing partner for MySwimPro. You download the app and you use the breathing trainer by following exercises that strengthen your diaphragm and the muscles between your ribs so you can inhale more air with every breath. It starts with a simple 3-step test to get your baseline, and then the app will actually set you up on a personalized training plan. Then the workouts take less than 10 minutes a day, and all you have to do is follow the app and adjust the resistance levels on the breathing trainer. It's really simple to use, and if you're trying to go 50 freestyle in no breath, you got to check this thing out. So if you're ready to take your breathing to the next level, check out the link in the description for the best deal on your order. In addition to breath control, there are certainly new training protocols that you have to keep in mind. Whether it's training with resistance in the water, whether it's parachutes, power towers, or even manipulating technique, the technique that is used in a 50 freestyle is different than the 100 freestyle. As you're growing and getting stronger, if you're a mature athlete or maybe you're a little bit older, your technique and your feel of the water and your recovery all become that much more important. And that's how I think we're going to see people break 20 seconds in the 50 freestyle. Now, I think it's really important to understand history to see the progression of times and how realistic it is to go under 20 seconds. Now, I do encourage you guys at the end of this video to check out my last video where I really broke this down on an even deeper mathematical level. But to give you a few examples of how realistic this is, let's take Jim Hines. If you don't know who he is, he won the 1968 Mexico Olympic Games in the 100-meter dash. And he was the first man ever to break 10 seconds. That's right. No one before 1968 ever broke 10 seconds in the 100-meter dash, and he did it. And And since then, over 190 different male athletes have broken 10 seconds in the 100-meter dash. And I'm gonna call this the Jim Hines effect. And this was only about 60 years ago, 1968. Do you know what the world record was in the 100-meter freestyle in swimming in 1968? It was a 52.2. Today, the world record is a 46.4 by Pen Zhen Li of China. I mean, I'm laughing saying that out loud because 52 and 46 are two completely different swims. I mean, the US Olympic trial qualification time is a 49.99. The world record just a few decades ago was a 52.2. And do you know what it was in 1984? Now we're talking 4 decades. The 100-meter freestyle, Rowdy Gaines won the Olympics in a 49.8. That was 4 decades ago. The world record is now 3.5 seconds faster than just 4 decades ago. How about the 50 freestyle? We've been talking about the 50 free. In 1984, just 4 decades ago, the 50 free world record was a 22.5. And today it's a 20.9. And a 22.5 won't even get you in the top 100 ranked in the world. Just to show you how fast swimming has gotten and how much more it has to go. I want you guys to let me know what you think down below in the comments. And if you want to find out exactly when I predicted we'll see a 19 in the 50 freestyle, make sure you check out this video right over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.